What I'm about to tell you is as important as knowing how to manage your money in your business, and I don't say that lightly. How do I get business owners to understand? They should have started this yesterday. Not tomorrow, not next month, yesterday. Let me explain this with a quick story. A few years ago, Andy Keys, owner of Fox Haven Roofing and Metal Ops, one of my oldest friends and clients, hired me to set up a podcast room in his house. When we finished setting up the gear for him, we wanted to test it out. So we did a quick podcast, me and him, and I was his actual first informal guest. And I remember back then he asked me, what is the biggest mistake that you see business owner doing when it comes to making content or media production for their business? And I say, thinking that is an option. Now, 3-4 years after that, Andy has become one of the main figures in the roofing industry, opening his second business. He's been invited to speak to some of the biggest conferences in the roofing industry, and everybody in that space pretty much knows about his name. That didn't just happen because he's been making content, but that definitely helping on the process, to the point that now he gets recognized everywhere he goes in our local area. And even when we travel and visit other business owners in the same industry, they all the time they say, I've been watching your videos, I love them, I've been learning so much from this or from that. You will never get there if you don't go through the process of the first few rough tries when you just don't sound as good. You just don't know what to ask when you are interviewing somebody. And that's why I advise that you just jump into it as soon as you can, because you try to have the perfect setup, the perfect lighting and everything, and the perfect guest so you can get started with your podcast. But when you do, then you don't even know how to treat that person. You don't even know how to ask them the proper questions. Versus if you just get started, get familiar with the cameras, get familiar with having a conversation in front of a camera, and now all of a sudden when you get that ideal speaker, when you get that ideal guest, now you actually know how to behave, how to get the information you want from them so your audience can get the best from you. And I think that was about 3 or 4 years ago. So in today's day and age, with the volume of content that you're competing with, you should definitely have started a year ago. But it's never too late, man. Let's go. And don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you. Here is the model, clear and simple. You sit down for an hour, maybe 2, you record one solid structured conversation, or it could be by yourself. And from that one section, you get all of the social content. You create everything. 1 hour turns into multiple short clips, multiple pieces of content, multiple opportunities to show up in front of people. But more importantly, it becomes the foundation of how people start to see you. Now the question is, what do I even talk about? Because let's be honest, most industries are not exciting. Roofing is not exciting, dentistry is not exciting, electrical work is not exciting. Unless you're actually showing final results of beautiful designs, then that's a very nice part of it. But most people are not waking up and thinking, I can't wait to learn about this. And that's fine, because that's not the point. The point is not to be entertaining. The point is to be positioned, to build trust. And this is where most people miss it. They think they are not getting followers, they are not getting likes, and they need to be interesting or viral or have a crazy hook or I need to compete with influencers. No, you need to become none, which you aren't. And more than none, you need to be the expert in your space. So here's the shift. Instead of making your podcast about your service, make it about your environment. Ernesto, what do you mean by environment? Your market, your community, your industry. Let me explain. If you're in Port St. Lucie or the Treasure Coast like I am, why not just have a show about local businesses? If you're in Palm Beach, why not just have a show about entrepreneurs in your area? If you're a contractor, why not bring on other contractors, suppliers, real estate agents, local business owners? Now all of a sudden you are not just creating content, you are creating a platform for other people to contribute and be seen. And this is the part that changes everything, because there is something I call the host advantage. Think back to school for a second. There was always one person, not the most popular, not the most known, but they had one thing going for them. They were the one hosting, they were the ones organizing, they were the ones bringing people together. And because of that, their influence grew. Not because they were better, but because they created the environment. When you start a podcast, you become the person that brings people together. You're the one reaching out, you're the one inviting, you're the one hosting the conversation. And because of that, your positioning changes instantly. Now, instead of chasing people, people are open to talking to you. People that normally wouldn't give you time will give you time. And over time, that builds something very, very powerful. Awareness, reputation, trust. Not to be slept on. And now your name starts circulating. People start seeing you constantly. People start associating you with other experts in your area, in your space. And here's the part most people don't connect. That attention translates into business. Not because you're selling directly. The best way of selling is not to sell, is to suggest, is to show people what you can offer them. They watch your content, they hear you speak, they see how you think, and eventually they connect the dots. Oh, this is what he does. This is who I should call. I already trust this person. And that's when content starts working for you. And this is why this is no longer optional. This is not something you try. This is not something you do when you have the time. This is becoming a requirement for every marketing purpose on your business, on your personal brand, on your coaching business. If you're running a business today, you need to think like a media company. You need to document, you need to communicate, you need to show up consistently. Because whether you do it or not, someone else in your market will. And when they do, they become the authority. They become the name people recognize. Even if they are not the best, they become the default choice. And that's what we focus on at Connectar Media, controlling the narrative so you become that person. We are not just helping people record podcasts or create content. We're helping them build positioning. We're helping them create systems. Where one piece of long-form content turns into everything. If you've been thinking about long-form content or content in general for your business, the real answer is simple. You are already late, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't start. It means you need to start right away, because the opportunity is still there, and the people who move now are the ones who will dominate later. At the end of the day, this isn't about content, this isn't about lights, cameras, or gear, or going viral, or having a crazy hook. It's about positioning yourself, so when someone needs what you offer, you are already the person they trust.